All right, people of the interwebs. This is take 3 because I'm an idiot. Today on Vets and Vicks, I got my buddy Jared. He has a badass 2500.
1500.
Badass 1500. He is episode 1 actually, and I wanted him to be episode 1 because I've known this guy for 5 or 6 years. Worked with him in and out of the military, and he's got a dope truck. So he's going to tell us about himself, and we're going to check out the truck, depending on the weather, because it's pretty nasty outside. I picked these up at the shop like right before you showed up. This one is some very rare one. They only released them like 3 years ago at some cigar convention, and then they didn't mass produce them, but they got such rave remarks about them that they decided to mass produce them.
Nice.
So, Jared, tell them who you are, where you're from, please.
So, hello everybody. Name's Jared Jacobs. Originally from Alabama. Gadsden, Alabama, where I was born and raised. Joined the military August of 2001, right before September 11th. So that was a fun time in basic training. Yeah.
What made you join the Army?
So I joined. I was young, 18 years old, starting a family. I was married, 2 kids.
Started early.
Yeah, real early. I was in trade school at the time. I was looking at electrical engineering, wanted to be an electrician. And yeah, needed a way to support the family, so military was the best option.
I feel a lot of people have that same similar story. Where'd you go to base training at?
So I went to basic at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Oh, Lost in the Woods.
Fort Lost in the Woods, yep.
Yeah. How was that?
It wasn't too bad. Time of year, August, September time frame. It was a little chilly sometimes in the mornings, but other than that, I'm pretty sure it's just like any other basic.
I went to Benning in August. I'll tell you what, sweating balls. But in the morning, it would be freezing cold and we'd be doing PT. Afternoon, whatever we were doing, it'd be 100 degrees. So we got hemmed up because a couple guys wore some waffle tops during a ruck march because we started at 4 in the morning and they fell out, almost heat cats because they got too hot with the waffle tops.
Oh.
So when we were done with the ruck march, drills lined us up and they were like, everybody drop your pants, take your tops off. If you're wearing a waffle top, we're fucking you up. 2 guys were free balling, so they're just standing there in line waiting to get checked, just hanging out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had one of those guys that was just couldn't get right. He'd come out with his shoes on his wrong feet. Like, how do you do that?
You know, every unit has one of those guys. I went to base training with a guy that had never owned pants before. Born and raised in Florida. Never had a pair of boots. The only pair of pants he said he'd ever had was for a suit. His grandma got him for church. Never worn pants. Never had a jacket before, no nothing.
We had so I was at Fort Leonard Wood, so we were males and females. We had a female. She was full-blooded Indian, and her last name was Bad Yellow Hair. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like on her name tag, Bad Yellow Hair. It's like, okay.
You know, your last name's always derived from something. You know, if your name's Shoemaker, your grandfather probably made shoes, or Mason, your grandfather was Mason. I wonder where Bad Yellow Hair came from. That's a trip.
Yeah.
So, what's your MOS in the Army?
So I was in communications. When I first joined, it was 31 series before they switched over to the new 25 series that they have now. I was a 35 or 31. I was a 31 Romeo, which was line of sight communications. And as you know, progression, they did away with pretty much the LOS shelters, and
Thank God, this thing sucked.
yeah, it was fun times. But when they switched over to the 25 series, I reclassed and was a 25 uniform, or as the military likes to call it, 25 universal, because you do just about everything. Anything electrical, I guess they think.
It's got batteries or power cord. It's your problem.
I'm supposed to be a subject matter expert.
Yeah. On microwaves.
Yeah. But so yeah, when I first joined though, when I was at MEPS, and I was doing the whole MOS thing, I was sitting there with the guy, and he was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, I'm in trade school right now doing electrical engineering, so I want to kind of do something along those lines." And he's looking through his little list of stuff, and he's like, "Oh, here you go, 31 Romeo. It's this," and like he gave me the technical term for it. I don't remember what it was. Something like multi-channel communications. So I don't know. But he was like, "You'll be messing with wires and electricity all the time." I'm like,
got him.
All right, hell yeah, let's do it. Sign me up. I get to AIT. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This ain't
The heat close.
This ain't electrical engineering. This ain't got nothing to do with electricity.
Man, they got me. So I joined the Army blind. I didn't know anything about the military. Nobody in my immediate family.
Me either.
I only had a couple friends that joined, and after they joined, I didn't talk to them a whole lot. So I went to the recruiter, and he made me take the pre-ASVAB, and I did well on it. So they sent me to MEPS, and I took the ASVAB. So I'll never forget, there was a staff sergeant in there, and I swear this is probably the last person, in the United States that hasn't realized that slavery's over. He was just, you could tell by the way he talked, he was down South Country bumpkin. And he was like, "God damn it, boy, this goddamn score right here, you're a motherfucking genius." And I was like, what the hell? So he was just sitting there yelling about my ASVAB score, and I didn't know what any of the numbers meant.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Hey, you can get any goddamn job in the military you want. Goddamn, you can run the military one day." And he's just going, like he's embarrassing me. I'm in a room full of strangers, and I'm like, "God, shut the fuck up. Just give me my scores, let me go." So I go to the next room, and the guy's like, "What do you want to be in the Army?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude. My aunt was a paralegal, and she made good money. What about paralegal?" And he's like, "Oh, you don't want to do that shit." And he's like, "What do you think about radios?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've installed subwoofers and amps before. Is there anything like that?" So he shows me this video, and this guy's in a four-wheeler, and he's jumping over strikers and tanks, and I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, I want to do that shit." So he's like, "Yeah, with these scores, you can get any job in the military. We're going to make you a 25 uniform. You're going to be a commo guy, signal support system specialist." And so I'm thinking at this time, I'm in this elite group of just intelligent, talented individuals, and God blessed me, and my career is going to be great, right? So then I get on the airplane, flying down to basic training, and dude beside me. So I got a 93 on the ASVAB. Dude beside me on the airplane, I don't know anything about the military. I'm trying to strike up a conversation. I'm like, "So what do you get on the ASVAB?" He's like, "I got a 95. And I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, 99 is perfect. So I was like, "What MOS did you choose?" And he said, "Infantry." I said, "Why the hell did you choose infantry with that ASVAB score like that?" He's like, "They gave me $20,000 sign-on bonus for a 3-year contract, and I get to blow shit up." And I was like, "You beat me there." So I get the basic training, right? And if this dude's out there on the internet, he'll know who I'm talking about. He sleeps in the bunk beside me, right? And he's talking to himself one night, and he starts laughing. So I look at him, and I'm like, "Dude, are you all right?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm super proud of myself." And I was like, "Oh yeah? what for? And I regretted that instantly. He's like, well, I've been a failure all my life. And in my head, I'm thinking, you don't say. And he's like, so I took the ASVAB and I got a 13. And I was like, oh, shit, that sucks. How'd you join the Army? He's like, well, I tried really hard and I took it again. And I got a 16. And I'm like, yeah, you need like a 32 to join the Army. And he's like, well, they give out 500 waivers a year for people to get under 32. And I got one. I'm successful. I joined the Army. And I was like, oh, shit, man, that's good for you, dude. I'm really glad to help you out. What's your MOS? He's like, I'm a 25 uniform. I was like, I know absolutely nothing about the military. Fuck. Man. So, yeah, that's how it started. And, my entire career has just kind of been that way. You think you know something, you know absolutely nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And then they promote you and you know even less.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So, what duty station have you been to?
Well, not a lot. Didn't get the luxury of visiting a lot of places like I wanted to. So my first duty station was Bragg, of course, airborne. Left Bragg, went to Fort Campbell, and then right back to Fort Bragg. That was it. That was 20 years. Bragg, Campbell, Bragg.
You know every grid square for Bragg, huh?
Just about, I guess. Yeah. Didn't get lucky enough to go anywhere else.
So, with only doing 2 duty stations, how do you think that impacted like your professional growth in the military?
I think it impacted it a lot, really.
Yeah.
Because not having the special assignments or the special
broadening assignments.
Yeah, broadening assignments. Mm-hmm. I think that's what got me, because I retired as an E6. Not getting E7 pretty much. I think that not having the broadening assignments and the experience is what kept me from getting E7, because everything else, I was just NCOERs and everything is just. But, yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
I feel like a lot of people get kind of typecasted like that. They get one duty station, and whether they like it or not, they kind of become permanent party, like for their career. And Bragg is one of those places where you absolutely can get there and stay your whole career there. And unless somebody at branch, really looks out for you and gives you a broadening assignment or something like that, then you kind of get stuck. And next thing you know, you're looking at retirement, going, man, what if?
Well, I had one chance at a broadening assignment, which was drill sergeant, but they tried to give it to me at 19 years when I was already had my retirement packet submitted. Or no, it wasn't. It was a little over 18 years, because I was trying to retire right at 20, and I came down on orders for drill sergeant, and I'm like calling up branch, like, hey, like, I'm trying to retire. I'm not trying to, like, no, y'all should have did this 10 years ago when I could still run and my knees weren't all jacked up and my back's not all jacked up.
18 years airborne, yeah.
But ended up getting out of that because I was retiring. So
I got stuck in the BCT rigmarole, where if you're in a brigade combat team, you're stuck in there for life unless you fucking die. I got stuck in that rigmarole for the first 10 years of my career, and after I got to Carson, I wasn't having a good time there, so I called a branch and I was like, hey, how about you PCS me? And they're like, dude, you've been on station for like 180 days, like, suck it up, buttercup. And I was like, what are my options? And they said, well, you can put in a packet for recruiting, and that's about it. Like, you can drop a warrant packet, but you're stuck, dude. I was like, thanks. Yeah, nobody at a branch ever looked at me and said, you know what, that's a shining star right there. He's got potential. We're going to make him a recruiter or drill sergeant. Nah. So stuff like that, I mean, I understand where the military and the Army in specific comes from. They look at it like, okay, well, we're going to remove you from your job, and if you can be successful in this other job and then go back to your job that you've been absent from for 2 or 3 years and be successful, then we're going to promote you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've got people kicking ass, just doing their job the whole time. Why would those guys be ranked, maybe higher than the ones that do the broadening assignments?
I mean, but overall, I'm happy. I'm happy with my career and where I ended at. And
Oh,
everything
absolutely.
else, so.
No, I worked with you at 96, and you were definitely an SME. I never worked with you in a leadership capacity because, you don't have a whole lot of soldiers down there.
Yeah.
But I know you were, rear deep commander for a while. So obviously you're doing something right. And then technical-wise, it's hard to find a 25 uniform that's better than you on the SDN. So, what deployments? How many deployments you got?
3 deployments, 2 to Afghanistan, 1 to Iraq. I think my first was 03 to 04.
Right when everything kicked off.
Yeah. I was pretty much on that one. I was pretty much a fobbit. Working. That was when it was still 31 series. So I was the LOS guy. So I was working in the signal van in the back of one of the shelters on the Humvee. So I didn't really have the opportunity or the choice to get out and do anything.
Were you in a signal company or?
Yeah, I was with at that time. 35th Signal Brigade was still at Fort Bragg. The brigade was stationed at Fort Bragg before they went to Huachuca. And I was in 50th Signal Battalion, Alpha Company, 50th Signal. So yeah, it was a signal company. We had was it LSA Anaconda?
Mm-hmm. Air Force
was where we were at. Well, that's where the majority of the company was at. I got pushed out to an outstation. It was a little place outside of Ramadi. Altaquatum, I think was how you say it. I can't remember, but it was alright. It wasn't too bad. We were supporting Marines at the time. See, my second one was 06, 07, when Bush had ordered the surge of troops. The unit I was with on that one, I ended up reporting to them, and they were already deployed, but they had got the call when Bush ordered the surge. They got the call. They were on Christmas leave at the time, and they got the call like, "Hey, get back here to Fort Bragg. We're deploying. We're out in 48 hours." And sure enough, they were.
Imagine some poor guys in Hawaii during that time. He's got 48 hours to get home and get his shit packed.
Yeah, they weren't too happy about it because it ended up being like an 18th month deployment. But on top of that, like half of the company had just gotten back from like a 6-month deployment, like 2 weeks before. They had just got home, and then 2 weeks later they're going again, and ended up being for 18 months.
God. So that's like 2.5 years, damn near back to back. You get a 2-week vacation and go right back to work.
Yeah, there were some guys that were a little disgruntled about that.
If you wonder why the divorce rate in the early 2000s was so high amongst the military personnel, it might be it.
Yeah.
God.
And then my last one, I want to say it was around 2011, 12, 13, somewhere around in there. I can't remember. It's just everything just.
After you get that DD-214 blanket, it kind of.
Yeah, just kind of start forgetting about everything.
Oh, yeah. No, you want to. It's kind of hard. You were talking about long deployments. One of my buddies was in the unit from Alaska that, they did in like 13 months. And then Everybody's like, hey, go home, did good. So they flew home, and then the SecDef with armed guards gets on the bird and goes, hey, y'all did such a good job over in Iraq. We're going to send you right back. They fueled up the bird and then sent them right back overseas. Families on the tarmac holding up signs, hey, welcome home, mom and dad, and back out there. And I think they gave them like an extra 3 months, maybe 6 months. I can't remember. But we replaced them up at Warhorse right outside LSA Anaconda. And talking about give a fuck being gone. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I don't blame them. But on the amnesty boxes, we found grenades sitting on top. There was like 50 cal parts inside the amnesty boxes, whole magazines. Found blow up dolls in the amnesty boxes. Like, don't need this anymore. I'm going home. That wasn't the amnesty box. It was bad. My commander was the BDOT commander up there, and man, the stories he could tell you.
I can imagine.
It was a good time though. I mean, my first deployment was 06, 07, and I can't imagine how it was in 03, 04, those first years, because we had it pretty good. I had a hard shelter over me almost at all times, but there were days where it was like the Wild Wild West out there.
Oh yeah.
And we had hard structures out there. We'd been there for a while. They knew about us, so I can't imagine 03, 04.
Just popping off. Yeah. I heard stories. I heard some crazy stories about when it first popped off, and talking about Wild Wild West. Like, it was really like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, a FOB means somebody that deploys in a combat zone, but due to usually mission, they're unable to leave the FOB, so they get stuck on the FOB all the time. And while everybody's like, "Oh, that's cool, it's safe," number one, it's not safe. You get mortared and rocketed, on a daily basis. You got VBIDs coming in. There's a lot of green on blue, so it's safer in some aspects, but it's not safe, and it's also an actual mind fuck, because you're doing the same thing every day, the same job every day. Where the other guys leaving the FOB, it's actually fun to go out there and see stuff. You get to explore and adventure. It isn't always bad. You don't leave the FOB every day and somebody's shooting at you. My first deployment, I got to leave the FOB quite a bit, and I mean, I got to go to a zoo in Baghdad. I got to do some cool shit. So the FOB at life is not all it's cracked up to be. So when you're making fun of somebody for being a FOB, no, it's not their choice. Number one, and number two, they are not living the good life.
Oh yeah, I've been on both sides. So my second deployment, I was with an artillery unit that was serving as a provisional infantry unit, and like me as the commo guy, I was right there with them, going out every day, doing patrols, doing foot patrols, doing convoys, and then we would switch out with. Our company was split, and one week we would do patrols and convoys. The next week we would be security at a GSS, and so we just flip back and forth every other week. And doing that, loved it.
It's a lot more fun.
Had an awesome time. Like you said, it's not always getting shot at and everything else, but had a lot more fun on that deployment than the first one. Sure, it was just being able to get out, doing something different, patrolling different areas, seeing different stuff, seeing the country, and how they live and everything is just kind of eye opening as well.
Deploying is like a pro football team. You do all this training and all this work to get there, and then you want to play in the big game, so you deploy, and that's the big game. If you're a FOB, you're like the water boy, where you get to watch all the players go out and live their dreams, and you're just like, here's some water.
Yeah.
And then if you actually, do get attached to a platoon that is leaving the FOB, you get to go out there and play. You might be second string, but you're still a player, damn it, and you have the time of your life. So I know the feels. My first deployment, I got to leave all the time. My second deployment, the only time I left the FOB was going up on a retran site, which the retran site was hella cool. It was just a couple commo guys, mechanic, cook, the NCOSE, a infantry platoon, and then a couple snipers up there, and we're just hanging out. It was like the Lost Boys, freaking. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. We would do like 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, and all the commo guys in my shop, we would all rotate. And the only thing that sucked is we'd only get mail like once a month, once every other month. But I mean, as long as you go up there with enough supplies, you're good to go. Those are the good days. Those are the good days. So 20 years.
20 years.
Now you're retired. How's retirement life been treating you?
Nice.
Yeah.
Liking it. Loving it.
Got a nice little beard going on. I got beard envy, you know. I'm not a very jealous dude, but when I see guys with a hellacious beard like yours, I'm like, man, maybe one day. One day.
You're like, oh, a few more months.
Countdown days.
I can just let it go.
Count down.
Just let it go.
I'm just saying now what I can get away with because, you know, I don't wear the uniform and I'm not sitting with any green suiters. So just kind of seeing what they'll let me do before somebody says something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, since somebody says something, I'll get rid of it. But I guess in my foxhole, I'm pretty safe.
I did the same thing whenever I was a couple months before it was time for me to actually be gone. Just come in every few days and just see what I could get away with.
I'm still alive. See you.
But
it's one of the blessings of being in SOF, you know. My sergeant major, I talked to him about taking this job, and I'm like, look, it'll help me advance my career once I retire. And he's like, you know, you did 20 years. Usually that last year, I kind of give you a twilight year where you take care of all your appointments, you do what you need to do, but we stay kind of hands off. And he's like, you know, if you take this job, you're not really going to get that year. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But, you know, my boss is super chill, low threat. So as long as I'm alive and I'm doing what I need to do, he's good with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was 20 years working with, doing contracting work with CACI now, CACI. Still doing the communications thing, working on SDNs. About to go to Kuwait here in a few months.
Big money.
We'll see.
Yeah, you can shrug your shoulders, but anybody that knows anything about military contracting is you're gonna be doing all right.
Yeah, we'll be doing all right.
I mean, y'all can Google what enlisted soldiers make, you know, while they're active, and that base pay is the minimum that we make, and then we get BAH and BAS, basic allowance for housing, basic allowance for sustenance, and then we get free medical. So it adds up, and you can live comfortably on an enlisted soldier's paycheck. But when you retire, you get your retirement, you get your VA disability, whatever that compensation may be, and then contracting on top, you'll be doing all right.
I look at it as I can do a couple of overseas contracts and save up enough to where I can pay off all my debt, just outright buy a chunk of land and build a house on it, and then after that I can just live off of my VA and my retirement.
Never leave your couch.
Yeah.
Pick up a new hobby, fishing.
Something.
So retirement, getting ready to go to Kuwait. How long are you going to be in Kuwait?
So I haven't really decided yet, and the company has kind of left it up to me on like what I want to do.
You mean they give you freedom and choices?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Actually have a choice of what I want to do.
You didn't have that for 20 years.
I know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think.
The beard, money, and choices.
Well, so there's a position over there, and right now we're just rotating through guys. You got to do a minimum of 90 days, and there's a guy over there now, which I would have went already, but I had the SEMA thing with the truck, and
we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I had that going on, so I couldn't leave. But now that that's over, I'll be replacing the guy. And I was talking to the manager, and he was like, "Hey, you can go for a year if you want to go.
Damn,
just let us know what you want to do, because you're kind of doing us a favor in taking this position because nobody wants it." You know?
That way they don't have to spend the money to send people out there and then bring them back and all that other stuff. And the continuity would be good. That's pretty dope.
So yeah, if I can, like I said, if I can do that for a couple of years and just save.
Have you been overseas since you retired?
So since I'm retired, I've been to Korea, Jordan, and Africa. What was I in Africa? It was Northwest Africa. Shit, I was just there a few months ago and I can't even remember the name of it. But yeah, I was in Africa for a few months.
Oh yeah. Out of all those countries, which one's your favorite?
Well, I didn't really get to do anything in Africa. Like I was kind of like confined to the base because of the situation that they had going over there at the time. So definitely not Africa. I mean, if I would have been able to get out and explore and kind of visit Africa, I might have a different opinion. But since I was kind of confined to the base, but I don't know. Korea and Jordan both had their individual like perks or whatever as far as getting out and seeing stuff. It's kind of hard to say.
I always wanted to go over and see Petra and stuff, but never had the opportunity. My battle buddies went over there, and they got photos of them seeing the pyramids and riding camels. I'm like, Kuwait was great.
That's what I'm hoping whenever I go over Kuwait this time, be able to get out and actually do some stuff and see some stuff.
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you do have some liberties in Kuwait. You get to go off base and travel, and it's not a. Of course, there's areas over there that there are some threats, but definitely not as bad as it was.
See, I'll have like I don't know if I have like a hotel or an apartment or whatever, but I'll have a hotel or apartment or something in Kuwait City, and just commute back and forth every day to the base. So yeah, I'll definitely have some liberties to get out and
living the bachelor life,
do what I want to
do. Yeah. Not too bad.
Might come back married. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it. The guy that I sold my house to in Colorado did 8 years straight over there in Kuwait, and got married and had a couple kids, and then brought his family back over. Said he was done with the contract and work, and bought my house in Colorado, and hope he's living his best life now.
8 years?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
8 years.
I can make some money in 8 years.
Facts. I can make it work. Hopefully I'll be doing something. Well, I'm not going to stay over there for 8 years, but hopefully the contracting I'll be able to do something similar.
Yeah.
It's definitely awesome that you can take your technical skills and abilities you learned in the military and then go right over into contracting and feel financially appreciated a bit more.
Oh yeah.
Able to build fancy things like that truck outside.
Yeah, I was able to afford a few little toys.
Yeah. What's the other one? The one's got the motorcycle engine in it.
So it's a Legends race car that made street legal, but it's so the body style for that is a 37 Ford sedan.
We'll have to video that one sooner than later.
Oh yeah, we'll get to it.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to it.
Hell yeah. Well, the truck. So what year is it?
It's 2003.
2023.
Yeah, 2023. Shit. 2023 Chevy Silverado. It's the LT Trail Boss.
So I saw the truck beginning of the year, stock, and you didn't really mention anything about like doing anything crazy to it.
Well, the beginning of the year, I didn't really. It wasn't planned yet at the beginning of the year. My buddy Pat hit me up. What was it? I think it might have been around March. He hit me up. He was like, "Hey." So I was laying in bed last night and I was thinking. He's like, "What would you think about?"
So what you're saying is Pat's laying in bed late at night thinking about you.
Apparently.
All right, Pat, you got some explaining to do.
But he's like, "What would you think about building your truck for SEMA this year?"
Why don't I get calls like that? Fuck.
I was like, well, let me think about it. We got to talking more back and forth, me and him, and He was like, no, it's not gonna be nothing like that. He was like, we can do a more practical build where it's, practical. It's still in everyday use. And he talked me into it. And
I need better friends.
so
Shit. So I saw you in July at a car show, and you came up to me and you were like, "You need a letter."
yeah.
You were like, "Hey, my truck, I want to put in SEMA this year," and no offense, but I've heard that story 1,000 times. I'm going to build my car, I'm going to build my truck, and I'm going to get it in SEMA. Everybody has that plan, but they don't really have I'm not going to say the means, but no feasible way to get there. And you're like, "Hey, you want to jump on board and do some powder coating for me?" And I've known you for a while and was happy to be able to bless some of the stuff on your truck. But I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I didn't know if the conversation was going to go any further than that, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping, but at the same time, I'm like I said, I've heard the story 100 times. And then that was in July. You called me up, was like, "Hey, the parts are coming next week. You need to drop this stuff off, but I need it within this timeline." And that was September.
1st of October, we took that first week of October. Me, Pat, and another one of our friends, Brandon Reams, which runs Reams Fabrication out of Salemburg. He's got a shop out there, so he gave us a bay that whole first week of October, pulled the truck in, did all the major stuff that first week. Still had a few little things that still needed to be done after that week with some wiring and the wrap and the tent and the speaker box. But other than that, a week, we got it done in a week.
Damn. So that was the first week of October. You got the wrap, the custom speaker box, the custom interior, all the powder coated stuff installed, wheels, tires, suspension, all the custom fabrication. And then 1st of November, you're in Vegas at SEMA. How was SEMA?
It was nice. It was nice. First time at SEMA. Had a good time. I probably walked 50 miles the first couple of days. It was nothing but walking. Other than that, other than all the walking, my old fat ass, other than that, it was a good time. It was a real good time.
You gonna try to go back?
Definitely gonna try to go back. So I got another buddy. He's got a E30 that he's trying to build. I'm trying to get into SEMA this coming up year, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with it.
Man, I need different friends. Killing me. So, without further ado, let's go check this truck out. Now, before we go out, I'm going to give a shout out to any sponsors, anybody who helped with the build, yada yada.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to Truck Guru, Chris Payne. He was the build manager. He was the one that got me hooked up with all the sponsors and everybody that donated for the truck. And Pat Talbot, Fireball Protective Paint and Film in Wilmington. He was the one that got me linked in with Chris. Without those two, none of this would have happened. So give a huge shout out to those guys.
Oh yeah. And if you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, and check out vetsandvix.bigcartel.com for all your swag. And yeah, greatly appreciate you coming in, brother. Go check out this truck.
Appreciate it. Yeah, let's do it.
We could go ban for ban.
Fuck that, we can go M for M. Mama got a body like Kim and them. Mama been killing that gym.
Jared, what is it? What are you doing to it?
All right, so we got a 23 Chevy Silverado Trail Boss. Guess we'll just start at the front, work our way back.
Let's do it.
So we got a Royalty Core grill, custom order from Royalty Core. We got FCK and body armor, light bars, FCK and body armor pod lights. This is a one-off body armor 4x4 front bumper. They do not have this in production, so my truck is kind of like the test subject for this to see how the fitment is and how it looks and
The test dummy, gotta
everything.
love it.
So that was pretty nice. So we got the Artem off-road wheels and the Delente DX12 Bandit tires. See, these are 20-inch rims, 35 on the tires. The Delente tires, honestly, with this aggressive tread pattern, has a very quiet road noise. Like, you don't get a lot of road noise out of it at all, so it's nice.
I didn't hear you pull up until you honked the train horn at me.
We got the BDS 4-inch suspension lift with the Fox coilovers. It's a Fox 2.0. Suspension kit, powder coated by Money Pit Garage. Mike Rubel doing his thing.
Uh-oh.
We got the little, what do you call that? Splash
shield.
Splash it. Looks nice. Got the cover pattern going. We replaced the badges, the original Z71 badges. Replaced them with some custom badges from Main Event Emblems. So we got one here. We got one back here on the back. With the Bear Essentials, a little play on words with the Grizzly theme. And also with the Main Event. We got these for shows.
The door props.
We got the door props
I dig it.
to go in. Did the color match with the door props? We got the wrap and the tent done by Patrick Talbot at
Fireball.
Fireball. That's it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Fireball PPF and tent in Wilmington. Got the Gibson exhaust.
love that
Body
touch.
armor 4x4 rear bumper. Now this isn't a one-off. This one is actually in production, so it can
Heaven help the
actually be
person
bought.
that tries to rear end you.
Oh yeah, they get messed up. Again with the body armor pod lights. Got the Gen Y hitch with the step. So we got the body armor rack. We got the Tough Stuff Overland tent. Trying to think what else. Oh yeah, we got the train horn blasters. Can't leave them out. Love that thing. Probably my favorite thing about the truck is the horn blasters. That's it for the outside. For the inside, we got the cat skin leather interior done.
So the interior still looks pretty stock, minus the upgrades here, but it's nothing wild. It's very subtle but very classy.
Oh yeah, so that's all cat skin, installed by DES in Wilmington. DES also hooked me up with a box, also wrapped with cat skin. Got the JL audio.
Can't see any wires. That's crazy. Is W3, W6? What is this?
What's that?
The sub?
I am not sure.
No, looks like W6.
I'd have to talk with them guys in DES. Custom box. Got storage space. Got the nice little sound system, and they hooked it up to where if I ever do change the interior, that this top just pops right off,
Legit.
and then you just reupholster this top piece instead of having to reupholster a whole new box.
I dig it. I mean, it looks OEM until you see the lights on the side.
Oh,
And it's the same like vinyl plastic texture and everything.
Oh yeah.
It looks stock.
It's nice, sounds good. DES really did their thing with this.
They killed it.
It is nice.
I dig it.
I forgot about the side steps. Body armor side steps, automatic. When you close the doors, open the doors, they in and out, and then you got the light shine down. We got the FCK rock lights. Forgot about those. Got 2 in each wheel well, two on each side. All the work minus the interior was done by myself and Brandon Reams Fabrication here in Salemburg, North Carolina. Check him out. I do want to say with the exhaust, we ended up coming out the side because I didn't like the way anything looked coming out the back with the Gibson.
And you didn't want to drill the bumper or
And
anything.
Brandon was just like, "What do you think about the side?" I was like, I don't know about putting a hole in the side of my truck,
It
but
looks good, man. It looks real
it
good.
turned out amazing.
All right, guys, we just wrapped up episode 1 of Vets and Vics with Jared's 1500, not 2500. Unfortunately, we had to film the truck on a different day because of the weather. Super crappy, but we got it handled. Hope you enjoyed. If you did like it, make sure you like and subscribe to Vets and Vics on YouTube. Check out vetsandvics.bigcartel for all your swag, hoodies, t-shirts. I got stuff for the ladies, for the kids, with more designs to come. Really appreciate Jared stopping by. Make sure you check out Brandon Reams Fabrication, DES Automotive in Wilmington for all your audio needs. Fireball Wraps in Wilmington. Talk to Patrick, and Money Pit Garage in Fayetteville for all your powder coating needs. Thank you, guys. Out.